Very good morning and welcome to this special live broadcast. We're coming to you from the office of the president, and that's on Vicinsion Road. And a protest is taking place as we speak, calling for Jack Deo, the disgraced vice president, to go. This is day two of the protest, and we have some protesters on the line calling for Jack Deo to go.
Yeah, you bet. Jadio! 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 Who is Sue? Who is Sue? Who is Sue? Who is Sue? Jadio! 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 Who is Sue?
And they're in there, that's the opposite of the president, right over there. I have the vice chairman with me, Mr. Vince. Mr. Jordan, good morning.
Good morning.
We're on the protest line again. Give us your thoughts in terms of the whole aspect of Jack Deo and his corrupt dealings, allegedly. And what are some of the messages you want to send to Guyanese or those in the diaspora about what's really taking place in Guyana?
Let me speak my views generally. There it is. Jadio has been fingered in a level of corruption, and it is up to the government now to ensure that it's properly investigated. My reason for that, as a citizen, we have heard on many occasions, numerous occasions, that he's involved in corrupt activities, and he was corrupt as a president. He was responsible for the killings of hundreds of black people and all the other things that we all know so well. But here is a situation and a case where a credible news source and a reputable journalist has brought evidence to say that Jadio is involved in corruption. And because we have those evidence, and because he himself is admitting in some sections that he was present, at least a video shows, and that he did speak to Sue. And Sue was actually at his residence. And he did speak also to one of the persons who posed as an investor. So I'm saying that the view at this point is that Jadio must go. Jadio must be relieved of his duties if he doesn't want to do it willingly. He must be sent packing so that Guyanese can ensure through the office of the president that there's a thorough investigation. And we don't want the Guyana police force to conduct this investigation because, of course, they will be pressured politically. We want an international investigation. And in order for such an investigation to be conducted, Jadio must be out of office. And the fact that he's fingered in such high-level corruption is enough for him to be, he should have been home since Father's Night. He should have been home. He should have been packing his belongings, his pens and his pencils from the table, the desk that he has at the office here, and be home. Because we do not trust him, and we cannot continue to have him handling the affairs of this nation. We are heading into a period where Guyana is expected to be one of the richest countries, you know, one of the most wealthy oil producing nations in this part of the hemisphere. And we cannot have a man like Jadio fleecing, robbing the poor people of Guyana of what rightfully belongs to them. Because when investors come here, investors are to give to the country and not to an individual. And so my take is that Guyanese at this time must stand up and stand up for what belongs to all of us. This is not a coalition or a PNC thing. This is a Guyanese thing. Because the fact of the matter is that when Jagdio takes from Guyana, he takes, when Jagdio takes from the treasury or wherever he takes from a contractor or what it might be, he takes from Guyanese. And Jagdio needs to now prove his innocence in this matter. Because what he has said so far has not um, uh, recorded to me that he's innocent. And we need to have a full investigation.
Thank you, sir. That's MP Vince Roy Jordan. He's also the vice chairman of the PNCR. And the protest continues. They're calling and they're calling for Jack Dio
Must move.
to move, to go.
Jack
Who the second bride? Jagio. Who the second bride? Jagio. Who is the thief? Jagio. Who is the thief?
Hello.
They're calling for Jack Dio to go. They're calling for him. This is what this has on our placard there. Investigate Jack Dio for alleged bribery. Bribery. Stop protecting the corrupt PVP. Investigate and change them. MP Tabitha Sarbo Haley is here as well. She's not only an MP, she's also a political scientist as well. Now, MP Sarbo Haley, a lot of persons are saying if the president of this country does not ask or instruct Jack Dio to resign, that it will be bad for business in Guyana. Investors will not trust coming here to do legitimate business under an illegitimate government and a corrupt vice president. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, it was coincidental, but yesterday I read on the news that the Malawian president actually sent his vice president packing for allegations of corruption.
Wow.
On June 22nd, 2022. So this is something that in other countries, when it's recognized as allegations, he wasn't found guilty as yet, but it's just been alleged that something has happened at Antwerp, and the president took action because we recognize, and he recognized then, that any allegation may have some root, but it would look bad on the country if he doesn't look as if he is dealing with corrupt action in a proper manner. And so with the what is happening here in Guyana, and the illegitimate president, as I call him, Irfan Ali, making decisions not to even look into the allegations that have been made by the vice news, I think it's bad for business. It's bad for good governance. It's bad for people and the country who is trying to suggest that we're not corrupt and we're anti-corruption, not to deal with this thing in a proper manner. Now, in terms of investors and business, it goes twofold. There will be those investors who would not want to come and invest because of the type of corruption that they see happening in Guyana and the fact that it may go all the way up to the VP. But outside of that, there will be other people who like the fact that there's corruption and will use it to their own benefit and come and show and have business in Guyana, knowing that all they need to do is pay somebody to get the business done. So there are two folds to it. And do we want to be a country who is governed by corruption, whose businesses are set up by corrupt means, whose businesses are based on people who want to pay bribes to have businesses in Guyana? Do we want to go down that road? And I think if we do want to go down that road, then we're heading to a failed state. And I don't think that is where Guyanese want us to go, especially where we are now with oil money and oil resources and so. And we have the right and the ability now to have a country that is so first world, if it is that we do the right things and we act the right way. Now, I mentioned this yesterday, and I want to reiterate it again today. The Guyana has signed on to the UN Treaty of Anti-Corruption. That is the only legally binding treaty that the UN has. It's legally binding. And it expects that countries who have signed on to that particular treaty to do certain things and to respond to allegations of corruption in a certain way. But what did we see do once they got into government? One, they disbanded SARA completely. the State Asset Recovery Agency.
Yes.
Then then they have the Public Procurement Commission that they're refusing to actually install. They have the names. The names were agreed to by all members of parliament, but yet still they have not yet been installed by the president. Why is that so? Because somebody is doing their own thing where contracts are concerned and don't want the oversight. The vice president is there sitting at his press conference talking about the Integrity Commission. The Integrity Commission. The Integrity Commission has no teeth. The Integrity Commission has no teeth. They don't have the ability to do what they need to do if there's actually allegations of corruption. And so holding on past the Integrity Commission means nothing in this respect. And so what we will call for, one, is that the Public Procurement Commission be installed, and that Irfan Ali do the right thing and send Jagyo packing and have a proper independent investigation into this matter.
That's a whole lot of information that you've given us. Sound information, intelligent information, because what we have seen here, I think also that when the president was asked about this whole matter about the Vice News, he was like in support of Mr. Jagdeo doing what he did and saying that Jagdeo will not go anywhere. I was paraphrasing, but it seems like the president is condoning this thing, saying that the president doesn't want Jagdeo to go anywhere. What other pressure to bear to force the government to turn the right way and to do the honorable thing?
But I think, as you rightfully said, pressure. They will not do the right thing on their own because that is not how they're wired. I think they're wired to do exactly what they're doing, and everybody knows what Jagdeo does. I don't think the name Sue is news to the PPP. I think they know who he is, and they know what he does, and they know what he's about. And the people have to decide whether or not they're going to allow the country to go down this path. It is up to the people. The people have the power. People are the majority. The government isn't. But if the people decide to sit down and allow this to pass, then we're basically saying that it's okay for Jagdeo to be corrupt. It's okay for the government to be run in this particular manner, and that we will just continue in this particular way. And I don't think that is the way we want to go, and that the people should expect anything better of the PPP unless they stand up and say enough is enough. So it is up to the people.
Have you seen other bodies coming out and calling for the president to go, other than the coalition and other persons in the diaspora calling for the president to go? Have you ever seen any other local bodies, the civil society, calling for the president to resign, to ask Mr. Jagdeo to resign?
Sadly, I have not seen. What I have seen a lot of persons suggesting support of Bar Jagdeo. I have not seen a lot of the civil society organizations making any statements, and it is actually very sad. And I'm hoping that they would recognize that this is where your voices need to be heard. It's either we want a corrupt country or we don't. It's either we want allegations of corruption to be investigated or we don't. We can't have it both ways. It's either we want a country that will thrive on good governance or we don't. If it is that you want good governance, if you want a democracy that is thriving and on the tenets of true and real governance, then we have to ensure that any allegations of corruption are investigated totally fairly and let the chips fall where they may.
Before you go, Madam MP, it seems to us that the government is trying all sorts of tricks to let us lose our focus from this big issue with Sugate. Now we have seen that they have a commission of inquiry into the elections matters now coming to bear, in power with a petition that is now going to be heard next month. What are your thoughts? Is it another tactics of the government to let us lose our focus and go on this petition, this charade?
Yes, you're actually very correct on that. It's a lot of games that they're trying to play with the population. The more information they try to put out, they're hoping that it swallows the actual information that we receive from Vice News, but I don't think it will. The elections petition, as you rightfully said, is in before the courts, and as far as I'm aware, no COI could ever overshadow that petition, and should be able to overshadow that petition. I don't know how it is that a government who is party to the issues of what happened during the election can by itself decide to set up a COI to look into what happened during the election. I don't think that is how it works. If you're dealing with looking at what happened during 2020 elections, everybody wants to know what happened. I want to know the truth behind what happened. But you have to do it in a way where everybody is involved, everybody's at the table and going through it together. The people can't decide that they're deciding who will be the commissioners, who is going to be the commissioners on this COI. I don't think that the opposition will agree with it, and civil society will not, because the government has a role in whether or not the COI ends up in a particular direction. What decisions will they make? What recommendations will they give? And that has to be in a manner that is inclusive and a manner that everybody's on board and would agree with whatever is the result. And the fact that there's a petition in court suggests that the COI is not necessarily irrelevant, that the petition alone should go.
All right, thank you, MP. Thank you.
Who is who?
And that's the protesters there. They're 1 hour protest every day. The protest will happen here every day for 1 hour. And we invite you to come out and join the protest. Let your voices be heard. We're also asking you to be a part of our marathon program on our channels, our social media channels. Starting from tonight, we're gonna be having a marathon program exposing this illegitimate government, this disgrace vice president, and you're going to be seeing different hosts, different guests coming on to speak on issues pertaining not just to the Sugate, but other matters pertaining to our country that has been, a country being for sale, I would want to say, by persons who were not even born here, didn't sweat here, being a part of this whole situation here in Guyana. So stay tuned. We're going to bring you more of this as the days and the hours go by. We're going to see you right back here next time on the protest line tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock as we continue with our protest. Have a great rest of your afternoon right now. Goodbye.